Okay, how to find the equation of a sine curve. So sine curve, you've got four things that you don't know. You've got A, amplitude, B, which your period is determined by its 2 pi divided by that number. C is your horizontal shift, and the shift is actually C divided by B. D is the vertical shift. Alright, so a sine curve is going to look something like this. Okay, and it's going to have a middle number here. This is going to be this middle value, this sort of average value. This is the D, the vertical shift. Vertical shift is this number. This, whatever distance this is A, amplitude. Period. Now each of these segments, when you go from middle to top to bottom to so on, each of these is 1/4 of a period. Okay, this is 1/4 of a period. 1/4 of a period, and so on. Okay, 1/4. So this distance here, 4/4, that's 1 period. So let's do an example. So if you've got a curve, you might have just a part of a sine curve. So for instance, you might have something like this. You might have 2 points, and you might have a curve that just goes like that. Alright, so this, and you might have, let's pick some coordinates, let's say 10, 12, and 24, 40. Okay, for instance. Okay, this could be your curve. So it's only just a part of a curve, so people are going to be different in how much of a sine curve they have. You could have a lot, or you could have just a part of one. So the first thing I do is figure out what your period is. Okay, and again, this is going from, this is 1/4 of the period here, the bottom to the middle, and then the middle to the top is 1/4 of the period. Okay, so this distance here is half period. Okay, and on the x, this is going from 10 to 24, so this is 24 minus 10 equals 14. So 14 is half my period, so my period has to be 28. Alright, so the period is 28, and the formula for period is 2 pi over b. So that means that b is 2 pi over the period. So it's 2 pi over 28 equals pi over 14. So there's my b, pi over 14. Okay, the middle of this graph, if you look at this, the middle goes through here. Okay, so this point here is halfway between the x values, so this is halfway between 10 and 24. So that's 24 plus 10 over 2. And it's halfway between the 12 and 40 on the y. So 12 plus 40 over 2. So that is 17 and 26. Okay, is that point. Okay, so this y value here, this is 26. That's the vertical shift. Vertical shift. So that's my d. So I know that my d is 26. A, amplitude. This is my amplitude here. This distance is my amplitude. Okay, and that distance is, so the vertical, that's from 26 to 40. So that is 14. Okay, this is 14. So A equals 14. So the only thing left to find is the horizontal shift. Okay, so now horizontal shift is that's the trickiest one. Horizontal shift. So normally a sine curve will begin in the middle, heading up. Okay, so this point here is where my sine curve begins, which is normally at the origin. But instead of being at the origin here, this one is shifted to the right 17. Okay, this x value is 17. Okay, so my horizontal shift is 17 to the right, which means that because it's to the right, the c has to be a negative. So c over b is my horizontal shift, has to be equal to negative 17. All right, and c is going to be negative 17 times b, which is negative 17 times pi over 14. All right, so c equals negative 17 over 14 pi. So I have my A, B, C, D. Y equals 14 sine pi over 14 x minus 17 over 14 pi plus 26. So here I've put this equation into my calculator. I'm going to change my window so that I can see that. So my x was 10 to 24, something like that. So let's just make it 0 to 30. And my y, 0 to 40, so that should show up. Let's have a look. So we were only interested in from the bottom here up to the top here. So that bottom value, let's check. Make sure that x value was 10, which should have given us y value of 12. Perfect. Second calc, our x value of 24 should have given us 40, and voila, it did. So that's it, we're done. So just remember, if you've got your sine curve may continue on, you may have multiple periods, you've just got to work out what the period is, and so on. Okay, done.